Agatha, an old woman, lived alone in a crumbling cottage at the edge of a dense forest. One winter, she found a tiny, shivering wolf pup buried in the snow. Unable to leave it behind, she took it home and named it Silver. Years passed, and Silver grew into a massive, powerful wolf. The villagers feared him, whispering that one day his wild instincts would take over. But Silver remained fiercely loyal, never harming a soul. His only concern was Agatha. Then, on a bitter winter night, Agatha took her last breath. When the villagers came to bury her, they found Silver lying still beside her, silent, unmoving. He had chosen to follow her into the afterlife. For the first time, the villagers understood. Silver was never a beast. He was love and loyalty in its purest form. Silver, the mighty wolf, roamed the frozen wilderness with an untamed spirit. His piercing blue eyes reflected the harsh beauty of the world he called home. But Silver was not alone. He had a bond, one forged not by blood but by love, with Agatha, the woman who had saved him as a pup. Agatha, with her weathered hands and kind heart, had raised Silver as her own. Though he was wild by nature, he never strayed far. From her small wooden cabin, nestled deep within the icy expanse, they were inseparable, two souls bound by an unspoken promise. One fateful night, a raging storm howled through the land, its fury unmatched. Agatha, frail yet determined, ventured out to gather firewood. The storm, however, was relentless. She slipped, her fragile body giving in to the merciless cold. Silver sensed it, a chilling dread creeping into his bones. With a primal howl, he dashed into the storm, his paws slicing through the snow. He found her barely breathing, her lips turning blue. Desperation surged within him. He nudged her, licked her face, whimpered. But she remained still. Summoning his strength, Silver did the impossible. He curled his massive body around Agatha, shielding her from the biting wind. His warmth, his life he gave to her. Hours passed, the storm raged on, but he refused to move. By morning the storm had subsided, and Agatha stirred. She opened her eyes, finding herself enveloped in Silver's fur. He had saved her, sacrificing his warmth, his strength. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "My brave boy." From that day forward their bond was stronger than ever. Silver, the untamed beast of the wild, was more than just a wolf. He was a guardian, a friend, a soul who had defied nature itself for the one he loved. Dana listened carefully as villagers recounted Agatha's bond with Sila, the wolf she had raised from a pup, who now refused to leave her grave. The town was divided. Some wanted the beast gone, while others watched in awe. Dana remained neutral, taking notes, though her sharp eyes revealed a mind piecing together the puzzle. Meanwhile, Lily, Sila's fiercest defender, grew anxious. Rumors spread that the wildlife agent might declare Sila a public threat and order his removal, or worse. Desperate, Lily pleaded, "He's not dangerous, he's just grieving." But Dana's measured response felt cold, clinical, like a decision already made. Journalist Miss Hawkins, documenting the wolf's unwavering vigil, uncovered a deeper truth. Agatha had been more than just a caretaker. She had once rescued and nurtured not just orphans, but abandoned animals, forming an almost mystical connection with nature. Perhaps Sila wasn't just mourning her, he was honoring her legacy. But not everyone saw it that way. Strangers began, lurking, asking too many questions about the wolf. Rumors whispered of collectors who would pay handsomely for rare animals. Tobias, a local farmer, quietly formed a watch group, ensuring Sila was protected at night. Others worried this might provoke conflict. What if poachers came armed? As tensions rose, so did the town's divide. Some, led by Corwin, argued that a wild animal had no place in a cemetery. Others saw Sila as a symbol of loyalty beyond words. When Corwin organized a protest demanding the wolf's removal, Dana observed in silence. That evening, she delivered her verdict in a clipped tone. "If the wolf doesn't leave voluntarily, I'll recommend relocation." Lily's heart sank. Would they really take him away? Or would Sila's fate be decided by something even greater than human intervention, his own will to survive? The town stood at a crossroads, emotions running high. Love and loss had never been so fiercely tested, and as the final decision loomed, one question remained. Would compassion triumph over fear? The confrontation at the cemetery unfolded like a battle of wills. Corwin raised a net, but Lily's father barked, "Stop! Let Dinah Klein decide." As tension thickened, Dinah arrived, her stern voice cutting through the standoff. "No one acts without authority here," she declared. Turning to Gideon, she added, "Unless you have a permit, you're trespassing and endangering the community." Gideon flushed with embarrassment, realizing his unilateral plan was crumbling under public scrutiny. As he hesitated, Lily crouched beside Silver, tears streaming. The wolf, though trembling, simply closed his eyes, exhausted by the siege. The villagers, once fearful, softened at the sight of his quiet despair. Even Corwin's anger dimmed. The standoff ended without resolution, no forced removal, no secure future for Silver. Anxiety gripped the town. Dana privately told Lily's father, "My report recommends sedation and relocation. But if public outcry is strong—" She trailed off, the grim alternative unspoken. That night, Lily's father and a few townsfolk resumed their watch. Meanwhile, Silver weakened, barely eating. Lily sensed his spirit clung more to Agatha's memory than survival. As snow fell over the cemetery, it became clear. An end was inevitable. Then a beacon of hope. A wildlife sanctuary offered to take Silver if he could be safely transported. Miss Hawkins, leveraging her contacts, secured the offer, but concerns loomed. Dr. Braxton warned, sedation carries risks. If he's too weak, it could be fatal. Rowan, Lily's father, grimaced. But without it, moving him might be impossible. News spread, stirring mixed reactions. Some saw it as mercy, others as betrayal. Gideon scoffed, claiming he could do the job better. Corwin's group grumbled about predators returning. Still, a date was set for the sanctuary team's arrival, as the town braced for the transfer. Lily spent her mornings reading to Silver, convinced he found comfort in her voice. One day, Agatha's distant cousin appeared, placing flowers on the grave. Watching Lily with Silver, she whispered, "Agatha would be grateful." She believed love could tame even the fiercest hearts. Yet unease remained. Gideon, seething, spread rumors that Silver had attacked someone. The lie fueled Corwin's group, sparking a protest at the cemetery gates. "Remove the wolf now!" they shouted. But when Lily knelt beside Silver, gently calling his name, the crowd fell silent. The wolf, trembling but docile, allowed her touch. "He's not a menace," her father declared. "He's mourning." Dana stepped forward. "The sanctuary team arrives tomorrow. They'll sedate him and transport him safely." Relief rippled through some, while others remained wary. Corwin scoffed. "Put him down. We can't guarantee our safety otherwise." Lily's father countered, "Killing him solves nothing." That night, a watch was set. Rumors swirled. Gideon might attempt to capture Silver for profit. Determined to prevent foul play, Rowan recruited more guards. As they patrolled the cemetery, tension crackled in the icy air. Silver, growing frailer, finally accepted warm broth from Rowan's hand. A flicker of trust passed between them. The watchers exchanged hopeful glances. Maybe the wolf sensed help was coming. Dawn arrived, golden light spilling over the snow-laden cemetery. The sanctuary team was due by noon. As Lily approached Silver, he lay still against Agatha's grave, breaths shallow. He had endured weeks of grief and hunger, and it showed. Dana and the sanctuary team arrived, sedatives ready. Dr. Braxton reassured the group, "This is mercy. He won't last much longer." Yet the air buzzed with tension. Gideon lurked nearby, scowling. Corwin's faction watched, distrustful, but Lily focused only on Silver, whispering, "Please let us help you." The town held its breath, waiting to see if Silver would accept salvation or slip away into the cold embrace of the graveyard forever. Lily stood close to her father, heart pounding as the rescue team arrived. The cemetery, once a battleground, of opposing views, now braced for the final act. The handlers, clad in thick jackets, surveyed the scene with knowing glances. This was no ordinary rescue. Dr. Braxton and Dana Klein stayed close, ensuring no one panicked. The plan was simple. Escort Silver to the cemetery for a brief, controlled visit to Agatha's grave, then return him to the sanctuary by dusk. A hush fell over the crowd as the group entered the snow-laden cemetery. The ground was untouched save for the caretaker's footprints. Lily walked ahead, guiding Silver with a gentle leash. He moved with stiff caution, his muzzle twitching at familiar scents. As they neared Agatha's resting place, a visible tremor rippled through his body. He recognized every tree, every drift of snow, the echoes of his lonely vigil flooding back. The onlookers stood in stunned silence as Silver stepped forward, his eyes locked on the simple cross marking Agatha's grave. A low, mournful whine rumbled from his chest, a sound neither fully growl nor whimper, but something raw, something broken. He sank onto the snow, pressing his muzzle against the base of the cross. Lily felt a chill tear through her. She had hoped he might find solace, but instead grief crashed over him anew. Kneeling beside him, she placed a gentle hand on his thick coat. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "We brought you back so you'd know. She's at peace. You can be free now." Then something astonishing happened. Slowly, Silver rose to his feet. He tilted his head skyward, and from the depths of his soul a piercing howl erupted. The sound reverberated across the silent graveyard, raw and heartbreaking, shaking every heart present. It was as if the wolf poured out every ounce of sorrow, every lingering trace of loss. Some people wiped away tears, others bowed their heads in reverence. As the final echoes of his howl faded, Silver exhaled a long breath. His shoulders, once rigid with grief, softened. Whether it was acceptance or the lingering effects of sedation, no one knew. But in that moment, Silver turned from the grave, not with the trembling reluctance that once held him captive, but with a quiet resolve. The handler gently guided him toward the van, and for the first time, he didn't resist. Lily, tears flowing, freely released the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The crowd parted, hushed in awe. What they had just witnessed was no mere farewell. It was a ritual of closure, a final bond, unbroken even by death. As Silver was loaded into the transport vehicle, Lily's father placed a comforting arm around her shoulders. "He's letting go," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Miss Hawkins captured the final shots, her own eyes glistening. Even Corwin, the town's harshest critic of the wolf, stood at the edge of the crowd, his usual defiance replaced by quiet respect. With a gentle thud, the van's doors shut and the engine rumbled to life. The hush that lingered was like the ending chords of a symphony, profound, stirring, unforgettable. In the weeks that followed Silver's farewell, an unexpected unity settled over the village. Gone were the protests and the fears that had once divided them. Instead, quiet whispers filled diners and doorsteps, stories of awe, of a wild creature's devotion, of the unexpected lessons it had left behind. No one forgot the haunting howl that had pierced the cemetery air, nor how Silver, once shackled by grief, had finally stepped forward, free. For Lily, the journey left an indelible mark. She missed Silver, wondering how he was adjusting. But updates from the sanctuary brought her peace. Silver had begun exploring the larger enclosure, interacting with a rescued pack. He no longer rejected food. He no longer shied away from human presence. Under the soft moonlight, the staff reported, he would sometimes lift his muzzle to the sky and release a subdued howl, not the agonized lament that had once shaken the village, but something different, something more natural. "He's learning to be a wolf again," they said. Lily, tears brimming, found solace in that. If he was healing, so was she. Agatha's simple grave became a place of quiet reflection. Villagers left wildflowers, carved trinkets shaped like wolf paws, or small notes about how her bond with Silver had changed them. Even the caretaker, once wary of a predator haunting the grounds, now tended to the plaque with care. "I feel her spirit lingers," he admitted one day, content that her friend found his path. Some called it superstition, he called it faith. Even Corwin's once hostile faction softened. Though he remained wary of wild creatures, he no longer fought against Silver's legacy. The wolf had earned his respect in a way no argument ever could. Meanwhile, Miss Hawkins completed her final article, Where a Wolf Mourned, How Love Bridged the Wilderness and a Village. It resonated far beyond their quiet town, reaching readers across the country. Emails flooded in, teachers wanting to share the story, animal behaviorists fascinated by Silver's loyalty, and ordinary people expressing gratitude for a reminder that compassion could flourish in the unlikeliest places. In a follow-up, Miss Hawkins wrote of how the sanctuary continued to send updates. Silver had fully regained his strength, his once frostbitten leg now just a faint scar, a testament to his survival. He had even become a guardian of sorts, greeting anxious rescues with a calm presence, much like Agatha once had. Did he remember her, or had he simply carried forward the love she'd given him? No one could say for certain, but the effect was unmistakable. One spring afternoon, Lily and her father made the journey to visit Silver. Miss Hawkins joined them, camera in hand. The staff welcomed them warmly, guiding them through the sanctuary's winding enclosures. And then there he was, Silver, standing amid the swaying grasses, his coat gleaming in the sunlight. He paused. Upon seeing them, ears flicking, nose quivering, as if recalling a distant but cherished scent. Then, in a moment that sent tears spilling down Lily's cheeks, Silver ambled forward. Pressing his muzzle against the chain-link fence, he let out a soft huff of recognition. Lily's breath caught. Did he remember? Was this merely instinct? But when she quietly whispered his name, Silver let out a low, gentle rumble, a sound, not of grief but of something else, of understanding. Standing beneath the bright sky, Lily felt peace unlike any she had known before. Loss and love had intertwined, and from their depths something beautiful had bloomed. She whispered a silent thank you, to Agatha, to Silver, to the bond that had defied fear and logic alike. As she and her father stepped back, Silver turned, padding toward his pack, a creature no longer trapped by sorrow but thriving in the world once more. And in that moment, they knew. This was not an ending. It was a beginning. If Silver's journey and Agatha's unbreakable bond touched your heart, join us in celebrating the power of compassion. Subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories that bridge the gap between humans and animals. Like this video, share it with others, and leave a comment about how one small act of kindness can create ripples far beyond what we can imagine. Together, we can forge connections that transcend barriers, nurture hope, and remind the world that even in sorrow, love endures.